$1.3 trillion in Q1. The bankers are officially back.
Are they? Biopharma single-handedly drove $46 billion of that. It's a sector frenzy, Nate, not a real recovery.
Oh, come on. McCormick is rumored to drop $44 billion on Unilever's food business. That's mayonnaise and paprika, not neuroscience.
Exactly. Rumored. I only care about signed term sheets. Like Biogen putting $5.6 billion in cash on the table for Apellis today.
Plus that sweet contingent value, right?
Let's look at the footnotes on those sales targets. The rundown.
$1.3 trillion. That's the global M&A number for the first quarter.
Up 20%. I read the same analyst notes you did. Everyone's taking a victory lap saying deal makers are highly confident again.
Because they are confident, the deal window is wide open.
Look at the actual sector breakdown, though. It isn't broad macroeconomic confidence. It's basically just biopharma buying everything in sight. $46.8 billion across 19 acquisitions in pharma alone. That is a frenzy, not a healthy broad market.
Hey, a deal's a deal. And fees are fees. Case in point, Eli Lilly just dropped $7.8 billion on Centessa Pharmaceuticals to bulk up their neuroscience pipeline.
That one actually makes strategic sense.
It all makes sense right now. Even outside pharma. Brookfield Wealth Solutions just closed their $3.2 billion buyout of Just Group, UK retirement services. Not exactly front page news, but it prints cash.
Speaking of not exactly front page news, Rip City Rising officially took the majority ownership stake in the Portland Trail Blazers.
Ouch. As a lifelong basketball fan, I deeply resent that. The NBA is a premium asset class, but fine, skip the sports. The real heat right now is in the grocery aisle anyway.
Wait, are you talking about the McCormick rumor?
Oh, I'm absolutely talking about the McCormick rumor. $44.8 billion to swallow Unilever's food business.
I saw the leaked structure. $15.7 billion in cash, $29.1 billion in stock. It's a massive swing.
It's a beautiful swing. Think about the cross-selling synergies here. You're literally combining the spice rack with the pantry.
I hate that analogy so much.
It's a great analogy. You season the Unilever portfolio.
Stop. Just stop. I'm highly skeptical of consumer food mega mergers. The integration costs always quietly eat the margins by year 3. Unilever wants to offload this for a reason.
You just hate fun. And mayonnaise.
I'm perfectly neutral on mayonnaise. I just prefer deals where the buyer actually hedges their risk, like the Biogen acquisition of Apellis.
Now that's a beautifully structured buyout, $5.6 billion total.
$41 a share in cash, but they added a sweetener I want to talk about. A contingent value right of up to $4 extra a share if that eye drug, SYFOVRE, hits specific global sales thresholds.
Which is brilliant. You bridge the valuation gap by making the target eat the commercialization risk.
Exactly. Let's pull that structure apart because the footnotes on those sales triggers are actually wild. The big one.
So Biogen drops $5.6 billion in cash for Apellis Pharmaceuticals, and honestly, $41 a share feels like they caught them at a discount.
A discount? Nate, look at the sweetener. They attached a contingent value right, up to $4 extra a share if SYFOVRE hits specific global sales targets.
Right, the macular degeneration drug?
Yes, the eye drug that has had a very noisy safety profile over the last year. Biogen is basically saying, we want your immunology and rare disease portfolio, but we are absolutely not taking full downside risk on your flagship product.
That is just smart banking. Why pay up front for market risk? You use a CVR to bridge the valuation gap. Apellis management gets to tell their shareholders they got $45 a share, and Biogen only actually pays it if the drug prints money. Win-win.
It is a win for Biogen. CVRs almost never pay out. The historical success rate is abysmal. I was digging into the footnotes this morning, and the global sales thresholds they set for SYFOVRE are incredibly aggressive. Apellis shareholders are mentally pricing in that $4, but they are probably getting zero.
Oh, come on. You always assume the worst with CVRs.
Because I read the postmortems. When was the last time a Biopharma CVR paid out in full? Sanofi? Bristol Myers? The graveyard of contingent value rights is massive. I will wait.
Okay, fine. The track record is rough, but you have to zoom out here. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Biopharma is absolutely carrying the M&A market right now. We are talking $46.8 billion across 19 acquisitions just in Q1.
Oh, I know. Eli Lilly just bought Centessa for $7.8 billion too. The neuroscience space is red hot. Everyone is desperate to refill their pipelines before the patent cliffs hit.
Exactly, and it is driving a massive quarter overall. Global M&A transaction values for the first quarter surged nearly 20%, $1.3 trillion total. Bankers are actually smiling again. It is terrifying.
I will believe the banker smiles are real when the advisory fees actually clear. But back to Biogen, I actually respect the structure. It protects their balance sheet. I just hate the PR spin around CVRs acting like guaranteed money.
Fair enough. But seeing 1.3 trillion in a single quarter proves the boardrooms are confident again. It isn't just pharma either. Brookfield just closed on Just Group for $3.2 billion. Someone just bought the Portland Trail Blazers. People are willing to write massive checks.
As long as they are paying in cash. Biogen used pure cash here, minus the imaginary $4.
Well, not everyone is using pure cash. Some people are getting highly creative with stock. Speaking of writing massive, frankly terrifying checks, I hear someone is trying to mix $15.7 billion in cash with almost $30 billion in stock to buy out Unilever's food business.
Please tell me we are finally talking about the spice aisle. Voices.
I am looking at a note from a major desk this morning claiming Biopharma is, quote, single-handedly driving a massive Q1 deal-making frenzy, end quote.
I read that same note and I nearly threw my coffee at the monitor. Single-handedly?
19 acquisitions, $46.8 billion. It is a frenzy, Maya.
Nate, look at the other quote in that exact same report. Global Q1 M&A transaction values surged 20% to reach $1.3 trillion.
Right, a highly confident start to 2026.
Do the math. 46 billion out of 1.3 trillion. That is about 3.5% of the total volume. Biopharma is not single-handedly driving a $1.3 trillion car. They are barely in the passenger seat.
You are being entirely too literal. They mean momentum, the narrative. Biogen dropping $5.6 billion on Apellis. Eli Lilly spending $7.8 billion on Centessa. That sets a tone. It gets boards confident.
It gets biopharma boards confident. Brookfield buying a UK retirement provider for $3.2 billion has nothing to do with rare disease drugs.
Fair, but confidence is contagious. Look at the consumer space. If the rumors are true, McCormick is about to drop a $44.8 billion bomb to merge with Unilever's food business.
Wait, 44.8 billion just for the food unit?
$15.7 billion in cash, $29.1 billion in stock. If that crosses the finish line, it reshapes the entire grocery aisle.
Okay, that is massive. But that just proves my point. If someone is buying mayonnaise and spices for $44 billion, Biopharma is definitely not single-handedly driving this market.
Fine, the analysts got a little poetic with the Biopharma praise, but speaking of getting poetic, we need to talk about how Biogen actually structured that Apellis deal. I know you spotted something in the fine print.
Oh, I absolutely did. They threw in a sweetener, and it is fascinating. Spill the tea.
I can't stop thinking about this McCormick and Unilever rumor. $44.8 billion for mayonnaise and bouillon cubes.
It's not just mayonnaise, Nate. But yes, $44.8 billion is a massive pill to swallow for the spice rack.
$15.7 billion of that is cash. The rest is stock. I love the narrative here. McCormick is basically saying, we dominate the pantry, now we want the fridge.
I don't buy the synergy story. You're telling me the team selling Old Bay seasoning knows how to optimize the global supply chain for Magnum ice cream bars?
Wait, is ice cream part of the food business they're selling? I thought Unilever was separating ice cream entirely.
Exactly. Unilever has been trying to carve out ice cream for months. If McCormick takes the broader food portfolio, they have to navigate around that structural mess. Handing over $29.1 billion in stock means McCormick shareholders are taking on massive execution risk.
You're being too cynical. It's a brilliant defensive play. Look at the Q1 macro numbers. Global M&A values just surged in nearly 20% to 1.3 trillion. Everyone is bulking up. If McCormick doesn't buy Unilever's food brands, someone else will.
Bulking up just to bulk up is exactly how bankers get rich and shareholders get crushed. You used to be the guy writing those pitch decks. You know this.
Hey, I resemble that remark. But seriously, the sheer scale here gives them incredible pricing leverage with grocery chains.
Maybe. I'll believe they can digest this when I see the actual term sheet. Speaking of digesting weird combinations, are we ready to look at what is happening in Biopharma? Tomorrow's radar. I'm going to be refreshing Edgar at 6 a.m. for the Churchill Capital 9 amendments. Plus, automation is fascinating on paper, but I need to see the actual lockup agreements.
You actually think an AI trucking SPAC is going to hold its value post-merger? Oh, come on. It is the exact same playbook from the 2021 bubble, just wearing a shiny new AI hat.
Completely disagree. I read their last filing. Plus actually has real freight contracts and revenue. If the redemptions stay low, it is a smart structure.
That is a massive if. I'll be watching the regulatory desk instead. Chesnara is trying to push through that 110 million euro deal for Scottish Widows Europe.
110 million is a rounding error compared to the 1.3 trillion we saw in Q1.
20% global growth does not lie, Maya. The bankers are finally earning their bonuses again.
Or they are just padding the stats with 46 billion in Biopharma desperation buys. We will see whose read is right tomorrow. Catch you then.